military equipment.
You invited
If
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have, your country's in big trouble. Stupid president, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards.
First, it was his outfit.
I do like your clothing, Larry.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way.
Then his body language.
Broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama.
And then his tone.
He broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners.
Zelensky was insulted and more at the White House. And then he was shown the door, with further meetings cancelled. US President Donald Trump and Vice President JD Vance bashed the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. But how did it all begin? Did JD Vance ignite the fire? Well, the meeting started on a good note with handshakes and smiles between the two leaders. The initial 30 minutes saw cordial talks and formalities, with Trump stating that Russia-Ukraine war would have never happened if he had been the US president. However, the mood began to turn when Trump began to shift the blame for the war to Ukraine. So what went wrong? Well, this was the exact moment. A reporter asked Trump if he was aligned with Russia's Putin. The response came not from Trump but from Vice President JD Vance. Now, Vance noted that the path for peace and the path for prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy.
The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy.
It was here when the meeting appeared to unravel. As Vance suggested that diplomacy was the way forward to ending the war, a visibly irate Zelensky argued that Putin was unreliable and pointed to the ceasefire deal signed in 2015 after Russia annexed Crimea.
Okay, so he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014.
At this point, the tone of the Ukrainian president started to get a little tense as he continued to give the vice president a history lesson.
During 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
Vance shot back saying that he was talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of Ukraine.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yeah, but
As tempers started to flare, Vance raised his voice, accusing Zelensky of being disrespectful to Trump, who was trying to end the 3-year-old conflict.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
It proved to be a tipping point as Zelensky, folding his arm, adopted a more combative tone.
did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come on.
I've actually watched.
A flustered Vance again raked up of how it was disrespectful for Zelensky to come to the Oval Office and attack the administration.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
At this point, Trump, who had been watching the slugfest silently, intervened after Zelensky went on to claim that US would also feel the impact if Ukraine war continued.
But you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Trump slammed Zelensky, saying that he was in no position to dictate how the US was going to feel.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel
You're playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people. You're
You
gambling with World War III.
JD Vance interjected again. This time he accused Zelensky of not being grateful to the US for its support. A furious Zelensky snapped back, saying that he had been grateful a lot of times. And just like that, the fuse was lit. What started as a diplomatic conversation quickly turned into a shouting match. The room was filled with tension as the two sides traded barbs for another 3 minutes. Finally, in a fit of frustration, Zelensky stormed out of the White House. So did JD Vance light the fuse? It's hard to say for sure, but his interjections added fuel to the fire. What began as a seemingly normal meeting quickly became an explosive exchange of words and egos. In the end, a full-on verbal brawl replaced diplomacy, and the relationship between Trump and Zelensky took a dramatic and ugly turn. But is that the end? Well, no, it does not look like it. Zelensky later met European leaders, and unlike his previous meeting with Trump, the London meeting was rather successful. The European leaders reaffirmed their support for Ukraine in its war against Russia. And what about the US? Well, Zelensky has announced that Ukraine was ready to sign a minerals agreement with the United States, seeing it as a first step towards security guarantee. While the heated confrontation with Trump may have caused a rift between the two leaders, Zelensky's subsequent diplomatic efforts showed that Ukraine was not backing down. The proposed minerals deal with the US is seen as a crucial step in ensuring Ukraine's long-term security, providing both with economic resources and strategic leverage. The minerals deal will allow the US to access Ukraine's rich mineral reserves, and Zelensky believes that it will be an important part of the broader strategy to ensure the country's sovereignty and security moving forward.